Um, so I was not able to go to work anymore. And I stayed home, and that's when I started with doing a lot of art. That's when I painted that picture for my mother. Yeah. And I was about 20, 21 years old then. And that was also the time when I started to become very unsafe wherever I went. And not so shy as scared. I was always scared to go amongst people, even going out. So I wanted to stay home all the time, you know. And then my cousin, she invited me. In the meantime, I started getting better. There was another year in between. Then she invited me for the birthday of her boyfriend, and he's bringing a boyfriend, and he thinks he's so handsome, but you let him know how handsome he is. Well, when I met him and I looked at him, I said, he is handsome. He was my type. I fell in love with him that night, and he kissed me that night. And from then on, we were together. He was a bit older than I don't know how many years, maybe 5. And I loved him. And my mother knew that I wanted to marry him. And she says, you're not going to marry him. I said, Mama, when I'm not allowed to marry him, then I cannot stay here either. I cannot breathe the same air with him. And so I went to America.
Why didn't your mother like him?
He was an Arab. But he was a Christian. Fine man. Very, very fine man. And also the years. I called him once a year. And when I went to Germany, my cousin always made sure that she contacted him. And the funny thing is, every time I went to Germany, his wife would be on vacation. And so we saw each other, and I even took his voice when we were in a cafe, so I would have his voice. And yeah, what did my mother do? Like, she divorced me and adopted him. He was then her son. She loved him too. Can you imagine? And she bought his suit for his wedding. He came with his wife to my mother. And yeah. So when I asked her, how is Nani? I called him Nani. His name was Adnan. And how is Nani? And she says, oh, he's fine. He's fine. Everything fine with him. So I knew that she always stayed in contact with him, you know. Yeah. So now before I went to America, that was 1961, I asked a friend of mine, I say, Rosemarie, you know French and English and shorthand and all that. You have learned so much. What would you think I should get into? I don't really like dressmaking. And I want something what is easier. It's hard on your eyes, it's on the way you sit, and I always had a problem with my back. And so she says, well, there is a college, you might have to take a test, and you learn typing and bookkeeping, accounting, all this sort of business, office business. It's a new world. And so I took that course, 9 months, and yeah, I came out of it okay, made the tests, I made them all right. And with that knowledge, I went to America. I had uncle and aunt in Denver, Colorado, actually in Golden. Right, they lived in the mountains, it was beautiful. And my aunt was actually the culprit who was behind my mother not to let me marry an Arab. So she was behind all of that, writing letters, and. And my mother was scared. And she said to me, Renate, I don't want to lose you. I lost your father. I don't want to lose you. I said, you're going to lose me. Because when I would marry him, I would be here. But now I go to America. And him and her brought me to the boat. And the first 2 days I cried. I cried and cried. I'm sure he did his crying. Like he did, pull the soul out of me. That was the worst pain. Yeah, and then I'm in America, and I learned to love America. I learned to love the people. They were so different than the Germans. They were so let live. They were all kind to me. I was once in the city, Denver, and this lady comes and we smile at each other and she says, are you saved? Am I saved? What do you mean? You know God? I said, of course. I know God. You know Jesus? Yeah. Oh, then you're saved. And I didn't understand this term, to be saved. And I didn't want anybody to know I was Jewish. I didn't talk about it. No. I didn't want to go through another episode with people hating me because I'm Jewish. And of course then the neighbors knew because my aunt was Jewish. And she was not allowed to buy a house in the club. So there was a big club where people lived right on the mountain. So she bought a house next to it. And I got a job in the club. So I started from working in a swimming pool, in a snack bar, and I got $1 an hour, because before I also got just $1 or $1.15 when I worked for a factory making 30 blouses a day, driving 27 miles to get to that factory. And here I'm right up in the club, very close, get the same kind of money. I could swim, I could eat whatever I wanted. I'm in the fresh air. Of course, I would work there. But then by September, Labor Day, it was over. And I went in to the big boss and I said, I have worked for you all summer. I enjoyed it, but now I need a job. Do you have a job for me? No, she says, the only job we have open right now is for a bookkeeper. I say, yeah, I am a bookkeeper. So I brought my papers with me and showed him, and he hired me. And so I worked for this club. And then he says, but by January we close the club. And I said, okay, then I go to Germany. And that's what I did. I was 17 months, something like that, year and a half. I was in America and I went back to Germany. In the meantime, I had a boyfriend, several, two, one German. My uncle wanted to meet me together with this guy, German. And he told me right away, I am actually engaged. And I say, yeah, I understand. So nothing with us. Go ahead with your girl. And they got married. They had a good marriage. So we stayed friends. And then my boyfriend, I saw him again. But that love what I ripped away from, it didn't heal. It wasn't the same anymore. I saw a different world. I saw a complete different behavior of people. And with Nani, you could see he was an Arab. He was a person who wanted respect. And I was very respectful of him. But now, where I learned that I flirted and men flirted with me, he was not a flirt.